Her eyes are open. She's watching me. All right. So I wanted to provide a little bit of a reading update. I did recently finish reading Villette by Charlotte Brontë. This is actually only my second Charlotte Brontë novel that I've read, truth be told. The other one is Jane Eyre, which is honestly in my top 3 favorite books of all time. And has really cemented like Charlotte Brontë as probably also in my top 3 favorite authors of all time. So I kind of went into this with very high expectations, and I have to say I am not disappointed whatsoever. This book, although very long, is a beautiful, beautiful novel that I think in its theme is very unique. I've read a lot of books with female protagonists, I would say, specifically the classics, but this female protagonist, her name is Lucy Snow, is honestly someone who I want to learn from, and whose way of being when it comes to love is very inspiring in a way. She basically is a British girl born into a very poor family in England and has to go find employment in France. So she sets sail and ends up in a tiny town called Villette. She is able to find employment as a school teacher, actually, in a girls' boarding school. And she basically, this is just her like day-to-day there. And she has 2 love interests in this book. One is a doctor and one is a fellow teacher. I'll not tell you which one she ends up with. She does end up with one. But I would say this is not a romance novel, and the majority of the book is not about her love interests. Like, it is about her interactions with them, but you can see so clearly in her thinking and her thought process that she does not let love or the prospect of love or a love interest get in her way or overtake or rule her life and her way of being. And in fact, one of my favorite lines in this book is, she says something along the lines of, "Is finding love the summit of life?" I don't know why when I read that I actually cried. Like, I actually shed a tear. Because honestly, I feel that at least in our society, we are taught and encouraged to find love. And that, I think, quickly becomes like perceived as the pinnacle of life, which it definitely is not and should not be. Although it is an important aspect of life, I don't think it is the pinnacle of life. It is one of the many pinnacles, I would say. So she definitely, like Charlotte Brontë, calls that out so well and draws attention to the fact that you can choose not to do that if you want. So that's essentially the epitome of this book. That's how I describe this book. So I loved it. I would probably give it like a 9 out of 10. And I would give it a 10 out of 10, but I put Jane Eyre on like 10 out of 10. It's like S tier. I would say this is like, no, this is also S tier though. It's just not like 10 out of 10 S tier. It's probably like 9 out of 10 S tier. Yeah, so I highly recommend this one. I just started reading this. This is book 1, titled A Winter's Promise, of the Mirror Visitor series. From what I understand, this is actually a translation of a French novel, or French novels, and it's been translated into English, obviously, which actually makes sense because the publishing house is Europa Editions. It's like this crane image, and I know that they have translated the Elena Ferrante novels, the My Brilliant Friend quartet. So I think, yeah, I don't know this, but I'm just assuming they're probably in the business of publishing international novels into English. But yeah, so I'm only like 30 pages into this, so I actually have no idea. I have no like real commentary yet, but so far so good. I needed something a little lighter to read, so I'm gonna like interdisperse these into my reading journey, to kind of give myself a little bit of a break between like the more serious novels. But more or less, I think this book, from what I've heard, is about a girl named Ophelia who has the ability to travel via mirrors, hence the title Mirror Visitor, or like the title of the series. And she also has the power to, I think, touch objects and like see their history, which honestly kind of reminds me of like Harry Potter a little bit, like how Harry can like touch Horcruxes and like he gets flashbacks from that. I guess that's what it is. I don't know yet, but I haven't read enough, but it sounds interesting. I think she ends up being like promised into some marriage, like it's like an arranged marriage situation with a guy from like a very powerful clan in a far off land. So I guess I'll just read more and find out how that will evolve or devolve, unsure. But I have heard that this is a very wholesome series, so I'm excited to read it. Okay, so for lunch, I think I'm gonna make this like Korean dish called yubuchobap. It's like a, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's like tofu skin and you like stuff that with like rice and vegetables. Oh, actually I have like a mix that I bought and it has a picture of what that is. So that's what it is. It's like one of my favorite childhood meals. So I'm gonna make that for lunch. I don't have rice though, so I'm gonna wash some rice, and while that cooks, I really need to like do more cardio, because I realize all I do are like sedentary activities. So I'm gonna go on a walk while my rice cooks. Okay, so I'm gonna make this now. I have my rice in this bowl. I used to put like some rice vinegar into the rice, just like a little bit, a splash, just to give it like the taste of sushi rice. Not that this is real sushi, but test some. And then I use this like fried bean curd. I think it's really just fried tofu skin. So it opens like this. Easier to just use your hands, that's why I'm wearing gloves, because I don't want the rice to get like stuck under my nails. Okay, this is the completed product. Okay, so I have a massive TBR right now. I don't know how I ended up with so many, but I did somehow, and here we are. So the first one is Practical Magic, a classic. Also a classic movie, which I just saw for the first time in my entire life, like a month ago, I think. And I loved it so much that I watched it 2 times in a row. And for me, that's really a sign that I loved it, because I normally don't do that. And then was inspired to read the book. So I was browsing online, looking at the different covers. The recent ones were not really my cup of tea, but I did stumble upon this version from, I think, like the mid-90s. Okay. Yeah, 1995. And yeah, I just ordered this, so excited to read that. And then I got Just Kids. This is also another classic I have never read. I do love a good autobiography, though. I don't know if this is a memoir. What is this? I think it's probably more so a memoir. But yeah, I've only ever heard good things about this book, so I had to get that. And The Shining, obviously a classic. I thought this cover was so funny. Whose face is that? I've seen the movie. It honestly is not that scary. It's actually kind of comical. I think back when it first came out, though, it was considered scary, but these days there's just so much, like, we've progressed so far in the world of horror and thrillers that I think most people would not find it that frightening at this point. But I love Stephen King, as we know, so I have always wanted to read this one. I just never got it for some reason, and this cover was just like, it called to me, so yeah. And then this one seems random, but the title is The Nazi and the Psychiatrist. I also was inspired to buy this after watching the movie Nuremberg. It's on Netflix. I just watched that as well, I think like a couple months ago. I honestly was just bored, so I just watched it, but it was actually very good, and I found the story to be kind of fascinating. It's like the relationship that develops between this guy who is a psychiatrist named Dr. Douglas Kelly, and then this guy who is Hermann Goering. He was like the second in command of the Nazi Party by the time the Third Reich fell, I think. That could be completely wrong. I don't know. That could be wrong, but yeah, he is obviously like a Nazi. He was very high up in the Nazi Party, nevertheless. So he gets brought in order to evaluate him prior to the Nuremberg trials. And they actually start to develop a friendship and somewhat of a relationship. They get pretty close, and you kind of start to see how Dr. Kelly, I guess, starts to lose like a lot of his like ethics in order to, I guess, get closer to Goering. But yeah, I thought the whole story was very interesting. And then I got this Stoner. This is actually my first NYRB book. I'm very excited about it. I don't know a single thing about this book other than it's about a guy named William Stoner. And yeah, I'm just going into it blind. But I also hear great things about it, so I'm gonna trust the masses on that one. And then the last one is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Also a modern day classic, I would say, or I guess contemporary. And I've heard this is sad, which I don't know how it's sad. Something about this book kind of just reminds me of like Greek mythology, and I don't know if it really is Greek mythology. I think there might be like a mythical component to it, but I don't think it's based on Greek mythology. But yeah, when I was buying this book, actually, the girl who was like at the register said that she did not want to read this book because this reminded her of the guy in Pan's Labyrinth. I think she's referring to the guy with the eyeballs in his hands. So yeah, I can kind of understand that. But this is a centaur, so I don't think that's the same type of character, but understand nevertheless. So yeah, this is the TBR. I will probably keep you posted over the next who even knows how long as I read these. I just read like about 100 pages, and I have to say it is definitely a page turner, so I'm excited to keep reading that. I think I'm actually gonna like wake up early tomorrow before work so that I can read. And yeah, it's actually almost like 10 p.m. now, but I just realized that the like first South Korea game for the FIFA World Cup is starting in like half an hour, so my sister and I just last second decided to have a snack / dinner for her watching party, so I'm gonna do that and then call it a night.
Slight chance of rain. We had a few rain showers in Mexico City earlier, both nations in the tunnel right now.
So it is the next day. I just had a full day of work. I did want to show you guys some new shoes that I got. No, go. These are actually from Italy. I've never ordered Italian shoes before, but I saw them and thought they were so beautiful. So I wanted to show you guys. My dog is very obsessed with boxes, so, or me opening packages in general, so she's running rampant. These are like handmade shoes from what I understand. They're flats. They are brown Napa leather flats with little silver details, silver and gold details, which I like because it's more versatile. This is them. They're from a brand called Guja. The reason why I opted to order these instead of like just your regular, you know, like more accessible item is because they have like this, stop! They have like a cushioned surface on the sole. I actually am not certain if these are really going to fit me very well because these are actually, this must be a floor model because it looks slightly worn. Weird. Interesting. That's only perceptible to me though. I normally wear a size 37, which is a 7 in US size, but I ordered a 37.5 in this one because I've always heard, at least from my mother, that Italian shoes run small even by American standards, so I am going to put these on and hope that they fit. So these are the shoes. I think they are very cute. I don't really know how I'm gonna style these, but I will figure something out. All right. Ugh, what a day. Okay, so I just got ready. I am wearing like a long dress. I will try to show you like a mirror shot later, but it's like a long flowy dress from Lululemon. And I'm wearing this cardigan. And I will be carrying this bag. This is my staple, like, go-to summer bag. I've had it for like close to a decade now. It is very worn down. The edges are basically faded away, but I just only have one summer bag, so I need to savor her. But yeah, so I'm actually going to a classical concert, hence my attire. Feels weird wearing a dress, actually. I haven't worn one quite a while. But I am going to a classical concert for my favorite composer of all time, of modern day, named Max Richter. He is a German-British composer, and this is actually my third time seeing him. But I honestly just love his music so much, and I'm just like, why not? The first 2 times I saw him were in Berlin and LA, and both were when I was traveling, so those worked out perfectly. But now he is in my hometown, so I finally can see him with a bit of ease. I think the last 2 times I saw him, I really like altered my schedule to be able to go to his concerts. The first one was when he was on tour for his most famous album, I would say, or like one of his most famous albums, which is the recomposition of the 4 Seasons from Vivaldi. And honestly, that is like my favorite album of all time. Like, I literally listen to that music when I am doing everything, like when I am trying to be productive, when I am tired, when I am sad, when I'm happy, when I'm stressed out. Like, I literally just listen to that music and it just heals me. Yeah.